So the BPT of 5%, do you think that can already be brought back to?
I have made my
4%?
position about that, and I have said that I don't want it rolled back. I'd like to see what fiscal year 2020 and fiscal year 2021 gives, because as a result of what has happened, we were able to actually also close the gap as a result of President Trump's Jobs Act legislation that took away about 68 million from our general fund. So those are the kinds of things that I am really looking at, Heidi, before, and I, like I have said, I have spoken to many business leaders also, and they are okay with the 5%.
Will that stay at least until 2020, fiscal year 2021, so 2022, there might be a
I would like
consideration.
for it to stay, and I'd like for it to stay forever.
With many accolades and celebrations.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us here at Kandit. It is Monday, September 23rd, in this lovely village of Tumont. Welcome, everybody. I'm Johnny Rosario.
And I'm Troy Torres in a bag of chips.
What's next after that?
Yeah.
How's your charge? Sorry,
My charge?
for your laptop.
It's there.
14%.
Shit.
Do you need what's your phone?
No. It's causing interference, the power flow.
Oh, there we go. Is that good?
Yeah, it's a good one.
What if I turn it? What if I? Sorry, everyone. Okay, how about now?
Sharing.
Is it
Oh,
good?
no, it's back.
It's back.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Did you
need
run it?
on the other side.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
The power is causing interference in the whatever
And
because
the mic cable
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's
across.
That's a
one
real thing.
power night.
How about there?
One power.
It's back. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. How about I just turn this off until now, until later.
Okay.
There. Well, please like and share.
Our
Candid
page,
News Group's
yes.
page. Please share this live stream to your timelines and to the pages that you're on. You can also host a watch party. Oh, I need to host a watch party. You can also host a watch party. That helps us. Tomorrow we're out of Facebook jail at 8:55 p.m. And so there's suppression of us because of something like copyright infringement or some.
No, I just
Blah,
think
blah,
it's
blah,
the
blah, blah.
haters reporting us.
Oh, we have their
But-
names too.
Yeah, but what's new?
Like we can start with Steve Munoz, Police Officer Steve Munoz from the Guam Police Department, who has his panties in a bunch because we called him out for corruption and for looking like a faggot.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And so he reported Candid's page. There are other people on that list. We'll share it with Carlo Branch at the governor's office tomorrow so he can piss in his pants that we have a way of finding these things out. But anyway, I would say it was a beautiful day on this island. because of the sun and then the rain. I like the rain.
And it's a beautiful day on the island because the governor has canceled her trip.
Yeah, you heard it first on Candid News. The governor canceled. The rest of the media didn't even cover the fact that she was scheduled to hop, skip, and away from the island, just like her director of public health, Linda DeNorsi, did yesterday. However, she did appear. She made an appearance at the informational briefing tonight, and we'll have more on that story that Johnny Rosario will bring us in Grupo Gobierno. But for now, let's start with the good stuff. A man must have been reliving his Glenn Close impersonation from Fatal Attraction. Brandon Lee Tovis, 34, won't leave his ex-girlfriend alone. On the evening of May 12, he told him to leave her home, and he wouldn't, so she called police. At 4 a.m. the next day, she woke to find him sleeping on the floor of her outside kitchen. She told him to leave, and he started walking away, but then paced around her garage area. She called police again. 2 nights ago, he came back, and she asked Mr. Tovis to leave again. He refused. She went to work yesterday morning, and when she came home last night, he was still there. She called police again, and they arrested him. Prosecutor Roland Wimberly, in his declaration of probable cause, accuses Mr. Tovis of criminal trespass as a misdemeanor, harassment as a petty misdemeanor, and criminal trespass as a petty misdemeanor. Thankfully, Mr. Tovis did not make it to the bathroom scene of the deranged replay of the 1980s thriller.
John Derek Pangilinan Regis, 25, is accused of threatening to kill his ex-girlfriend and their unborn baby after she told him she was pregnant. This past Saturday, she found out she was pregnant, went to his home, and asked Mr. Regis to speak with her. They went to her home, where she accuses him of becoming angry, hitting her twice in the face, then telling her, "I'm going to kill you and that baby." She fled. Last night, she entered the Hagåtña precinct to make her complaint against him. Within minutes, police officers located him sitting at the bus stop where he uttered to them without prior questioning, "I didn't assault anyone." He told police that he was at his pregnant girlfriend's house and they argued about him wanting to go home. Mr. Regis has a February 21, 2019 order from Judge Vernon Perez to not harass, assault, or threaten the victim. According to the declaration of probable cause by prosecutor Alyssa Draper Deerhart, she accuses him of family violence as a misdemeanor and a violation of a court order as a misdemeanor.
Glenn Eric Cruz, 48, got mad at his girlfriend because she didn't prepare dinner for him, so he began kicking her because he's an asshole. She fought back to prevent him from hurting her 2-year-old daughter because he's a fucking faggot asshole. Their adult son then restrained his father from hurting his mother anymore. Their son saw Mr. Cruz slap and punch his mother in the face. Their daughter, a minor, heard her mother screaming. She ran to check her and saw her father pulling her mother's hair, then shoving and punching her face and body. Their son held down Mr. Cruz, but Mr. Cruz managed to punch him twice. Their daughter finally was able to separate them. Mr. Cruz's girlfriend had 2 3-inch scratches on the center of her chest, redness on the left side of her neck, a quarter-sized bruise to the top of her forearm, and 2 1-inch pink-purple bruises to the left bicep. Officers noted 3 red 1-inch scratches on her left breast. She complained of pain to her left jaw. Prosecutor Roland Wimberly, in his declaration of probable cause, accuses Mr. Cruz of 2 counts of family violence as misdemeanors. This is not the first case of family violence stemming from a disagreement over dinner. On January 26, 2013, Clifford Beneventis Nicholas, who was 22 at the time, shot his wife, Valine Borja, in the neck over burnt rice. Mr. Nicholas, who now is 29 years old, was sentenced last year by Judge Michael Bordallo to serve 20 years in prison for 1 count of intentional murder, 1 count of family violence, and 1 count of possession of a firearm without a firearm ID. What are they going to do to that motherfucker?
I don't know.
No, I mean in prison.
Oh, they're going to have fun.
They're gonna-
I like that kind of stuff.
right?
Yeah.
People are gonna see that and gonna be like, "Who are you,
Yeah.
Chalu? Who are you to do that to your girlfriend and
Yeah.
and his own son? He hit his own son who was trying to stop him from hitting. There were some comments in the Facebook.
You know, a lot of this, abuse here on Guam, and it's really sad to see that people don't speak out. It takes a whole family or a couple of your friends to help you speak out, especially when you're a victim of abuse. So hopefully, the kids know right from wrong. It's just our culture.
And it's not a cycle.
Yeah.
But those kids, the son and the daughter, I don't know how old they are, but I know the daughter's a minor, according to the magistrate's reports. The son must be an adult because they had his name in there.
Yeah, well, their
sprung to
survival,
action.
yes, because their survival instinct kicked in.
To help their mother.
Right.
Right? And so, right on, whoever you are, I mean, we know one of your names, but we don't post that stuff. But to you, the son, and to you, the daughter, right on. And even the woman fought back.
Yeah.
Because she was trying to protect her 2-year-old
Yes.
daughter from being kicked by this idiot. And so I noticed that he was charged with misdemeanors, though. Now, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how that works or whatever, but it doesn't sound like a lot of jail time.
It doesn't.
And so hopefully while he is in jail, if he gets sent to prison, he's provided the anger management and the rehabilitative services because, unlike rape or people who have a fetish over children, issues of anger, issues of drug abuse, addiction, there are scientific rehabilitative services available for people like that. And so all's not lost for this guy, Glenn Eric Cruz. He just needs some help, but he needs to stay away from this family that he's been abusing. And then
And let's just hope the AG's office and the court doesn't call victims to ask them if it's okay.
In the middle of court proceedings.
In the middle of a court proceeding.
Yeah.
We need to follow up on that issue.
My favorite story, though, is Fatal Attraction.
I read that today and I'm like, oh my God, this Troy.
I gave myself the best freaking story of the night. I actually know that guy. I didn't realize it until I looked. Until I looked on the Facebook, and so I was like, "Oh, I know that guy. Nice guy. He probably just wants to get back with his girlfriend." But hashtag stalker status isn't cool.
Unless it's fake profiles on Facebook.
Fake profiles matter. When we come back, we have a very big story on the dengue crisis and our story of the night regarding Benito Magnolia.
Last second.
I find no issue with it because, I just got back from the state auditors conference and my jaw dropped because the average salary right now that all state auditors are paying is $50,000. I asked this, I said, what? Straight out of college, no experience, $50,000. Most of their management team are upwards of $100,000. And
But once that $50,000 salary is
I
straight
don't know
out,
why
wait,
we're
let's,
paying that. I think it's worth it.
the additional bonus on top of the increase that you're now getting because you managed to get through the legislature are concurrence that we're going to adopt the Kerry study. And for the office with the 10 employees that you have or whatever number you have, you need 60,000 for the certification or pay, or is that's in the event somebody else gets
that's already funded. That's already funded. That's already in our, that's, if you turn to the schedule, we're talking 60,264 is the certification pay for 6 individuals.
Okay. I have nothing further. We stand in recess until...
Mr. Speaker, if I just may say, you and I both are very passionate. And I'll miss this exchange. Thank you.
I will need an additional $70,000 just to pay for the certification pay for those on my staff that are qualified. It wasn't in my budget request because I didn't ask for it. But if this legislature is going to leave it in the budget, then I will have to comply and provide them with their certification adjustment, and that would cost the office an additional $70,000. So I just point that out. But I can't tell you how wonderful the 5 Auditor 3s that stepped up to take over the management team of the office has been, and how smoothly it has run since then. They've taken over, and I feel so bad that they can't get one. We can't reclassify 3 of them, 4 of them. I mean, because all promotions and increments were suspended during the fiscal year. So I can't do any reclassifications and give them increments as minuscule as it is by comparison. But it is the Office of Public Accountability, and we have to live within the law, and we will live within the law. And if it is provided to us, we'll provide it to them. If it's not, then we'll have to tell them that it's not going to be provided.
There are no new confirmed dengue cases, according to the governor's spokeswoman, Crystal Paco. The Joint Information Center also is unaware of any suspected cases of dengue. Harvest Christian Academy, where one of the infected patients is a student, will reopen tomorrow morning following a successful insecticide treatment. Both Ordat Chalampago Elementary and Agata Johnson Middle Schools will remain closed tomorrow. Public School Superintendent John Fernandez said in a news release that emergency response officials still are mitigating hazards that allow mosquito population to breed on and near those campuses. Mr. Fernandez led a briefing for parents and the public earlier tonight on the dengue crisis at his headquarters in Tizon. We turn to Kandit's Eric Rosario for more on this story.
The purpose today is to really try to answer a lot of questions, but really have the right people here. So I know that, after our governor gives a little bit of our welcoming remarks, and she's really been in charge of trying to organize our efforts along with public health to address the dengue fever, but to turn it over to a medical professional from CDC to actually give a presentation and take some of the questions that we're hearing out in the community that we may have hopefully here in this room, and try to get some answers so that we can start to continue to educate ourselves on how we can deal with and prevent the further spread of dengue fever in our community.
I think information is really the key to preventing, containment, and eradicating dengue fever here in our island. I just want to let everybody know and assure the people, the teachers, the parents, and everyone that our government has really been working very hard to do just that, to prevent, contain, and also to help eradicate dengue fever. As you know, dengue fever is an endemic disease along the Pacific Islands and also in the Philippines. It's endemic to many, many other countries. And our Guam knows about that, and so they have been really monitoring and tracking mosquitoes for a long, long, long time. Just for more information and more knowledge about the mosquitoes, their lifestyle, where they travel, and so forth. And so we also have a laboratory, mosquito laboratory. But I just want to also say that right at the first case that we found, our public health team went into action, and they initiated and established the Joint Information Center. They gathered all the experts in this area, investigative people, environmental people, our U.S. public health people, CDC, and also resources from the United States. And we are in very close communication with the communicable disease centers. I also had asked our Director of Public Health to go and attend a national and state territories health directors, because this is the kind of arena that she can get more information and more technical resources to further again fight this disease. So she left yesterday, but she left our team in good hands with, of course, Lori Duenas. Most of you know her. She's been a public health nurse for many, many years and has experience in these kinds of investigative issues. So just to assure the people of Guam again that the method that we are doing, the way we are addressing this dengue fever cases is very scientific and very well results of effectiveness. The director of the Western World Health Organization was just here a few days ago. He evaluated our techniques, he evaluated our practice, he evaluated how we are dealing with this dengue fever, and he was very complimentary and certainly very happy that we are following the best standards of practice. But the key again is all of you. You individually are responsible to make sure that your surroundings are clean, that you are following precautionary methods and measures, and because it is an issue that has to be addressed by the community. Without you, we will not be able to contain it. So I'm asking all the teachers, the staff, the employees, the parents, the kids to be very informed about what these measures are. And I know Dr. Thane is going to do a presentation, but to also be knowledgeable. And I know it's scary for our community, but how we address that fear is to be informed and to be knowledgeable. And also inform your neighbors of what we need to do. So please, I need your support, your cooperation. We need to fight this together, and I'll let you know that it can be eradicated. Hawaii in 2015 had 200 cases of dengue fever. Now they have 0. So I feel we can just as be as successful as any place because of the methods and measures that we are doing. But again, I need your cooperation. Thank you.
Go through it. So dengue is a virus. There's actually 4 types of dengue virus that cause illness in humans. So what that means is you can get dengue virus, one of the serotypes, one time, and then you have lifelong immunity. But unfortunately, you can still get the other 3 viruses. So that makes it difficult, because you can get dengue 4 times in your life. It also makes it difficult to develop a vaccine. And we'll talk about, I know there are some questions about the vaccine, I'll get to that later. All of them can cause disease. And generally there is some short-term cross-immunity, which means if you get dengue 3 now, and you get exposed to dengue 2 in a couple months, you hopefully won't get dengue 2. Just so you know, I know people are researching on the internet. There is a dengue 5 that's been identified, but it hasn't been identified to cause illness in humans yet. It's only been primarily found in primates, so it's only for serotypes that cause disease in humans. There's some variation among the serotypes as well. So one dengue 3 might cause more severe disease, and another dengue 3 might cause less. So there's variation among the different types. How is it spread? Well, I think folks know it's a mosquito-borne disease, meaning that it is spread by the bite of an infected mosquito. Globally, people hear about the dengue mosquito, the yellow fever mosquito. That's Aedes aegypti. And that mosquito is very good at spreading dengue. It likes to live around humans. It likes to breed in the artificial containers that we leave around our homes and our gutters. It actually likes to even breed indoors in our homes. It will bite indoors. It will bite us outdoors. And it's a very finicky eater, which means that it will bite one person, and if you just move a little bit, it'll jump off and then fly around the room and bite somebody else, and then jump off and bite somebody else. And what that means is that it can really spread dengue quickly, right? And these, we'll get to this a bit later, why the mosquitoes bite and drink blood. But so the Aedes aegypti can really spread dengue, and really large dengue outbreaks are often associated with Aedes aegypti. Now, as Governor mentioned, the Guam Department of Health and Public Health and Social Services has been setting up mosquito surveillance, and they've been doing it with their new mosquito lab. And they've been trapping and looking for Aedes aegypti if it's been reintroduced to Guam, because it hasn't been around in Guam since around World War II. Well, they haven't found it, but what we do have is Aedes albopictus, which is called the Asian tiger. It too can vector dengue or spread dengue. The thing is it's not as good of a vector as Aedes aegypti. It tends to like to live outside rather in the home. When it bites people to get a blood meal, it'll usually just stick on one person to get the full meal rather than jumping around. So it can spread dengue, and we're seeing that here in Guam. But fortunately, not as bad as Aedes aegypti. And again, it tends to be outdoors a bit more. Sometimes they'll bite indoors, but it's usually outdoors. When you're sick, we want patients to be isolated, but we want them to be isolated from mosquitoes, not other people. They have to be isolated from mosquitoes. So that's a big difference. I know there's been a lot of questions about quarantine and isolation and that sort of thing, but it's really about just avoiding those mosquito bites. If you avoid the mosquito bites, you're not going to spread the virus to new mosquitoes. vaccination. So I know that there was some discussion about, is there a vaccine for dengue? And it would be great if there was a vaccine, so we wouldn't have to worry about mosquito bites and worry about dengue. But remember the 4 different serotypes. That makes it difficult. And we've been trying for many years to try to develop a vaccine. And they thought that maybe they had gotten close to having a vaccine, but the manufacturer, Sanofi Pasteur, in 2017, upon rolling out the vaccine, especially in the Philippines, they found that people who had not had dengue virus and were vaccinated, when they did have dengue virus, they had a higher risk of having severe dengue. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but we really want to try to avoid severe dengue. So because of that, it has not been rolled out as widely as they had expected. The U.S. is still considering exactly how to roll it out in the U.S. and looking at possibly rolling it out in the territories where there is a lot of dengue and where it's common. Currently, dengue is not common in Guam. We hope that all our efforts continue to keep it that way. But because of that, also, we wouldn't want to implement this vaccine in Guam.
I have a couple of questions, but I'll start with regards to the critical phase, are vulnerable population like younger kids or our Manamco, are they more at risk to be in, when they're in that critical stage to develop severe dengue?
Yeah, excellent question. So there are certain people that are at higher risk of developing severe dengue, and you're right, elderly people is one of those groups. Also people that have other comorbidities, meaning they have other health problems already that they're dealing with, can put them at higher risk. And so that's why it's good to go to your healthcare provider. They'll know your comorbidities and can really help sort of assess the risk. That being said, anyone can develop severe dengue. So even if you don't have the risk factors, it is important to monitor for those signs. One other one that I'll bring up that is commonly talked about in dengue is if you've had dengue before and you have dengue your second time, you appear to be at higher risk of severe dengue. And so people who have had dengue before also should be aware of that. But like I said, all people who have dengue are at risk of severe dengue, so we should all be on the lookout.
Is the proactive approach of spilling out containers of water or standing water addressing just the reduction of mosquitoes, or is the female mosquito in her laying of the eggs also transmitting the virus to her eggs and larvae, which then produce more infected mosquitoes?
Wow, you guys are asking all the good questions. All right, so what you're asking about is transovarial transmission or vertical transmission, which means that the mom mosquito has a virus, and then when she lays the egg, that virus would go into the eggs, and then as the larvae hatch and fly out, now you have a new batch of mosquitoes that are affected. Well, generally for dengue, they find that that's not the case. And so for the most, it's not the case. That being said, our world is a big world and there's nothing's absolute, right? So they have found in very rare instances, once in a while it might transmit to the eggs, but for the most part it doesn't. Great question.
What is being done to isolate the patients who are infected now? Is there anything being done to isolate them? I hate the word quarantine, but I noticed in your slide that they should be isolated.
You want to ask?
In previous discussions with other experts on dengue fever, the way to isolate them is just to tell them, like the doctor said, is avoid getting bitten by the mosquito. And if you have your symptoms, your signs and symptoms of dengue, stay in the house, don't go out and till you are without the fever, and then that's when you're considered non-contagious. So we don't, as a government, say everybody has to stay in or any of that. It's really an individual responsibility as consulted and advised by their doctors. So if you have been diagnosed of dengue fever and you have the symptoms, stay in the house, do not go out. And it's not because you are going to infect the person sitting next to you. It's because, as the good doctor said, you want to avoid being bitten by the mosquito. And for our government, our resources are going towards cleaning areas. Our resources are going towards educating, giving out public information, talking to people, and bringing in staff and experts to help us with this. So that's our government responsibility, and that's what we have done.
I have serious concern because before, 2 weeks ago, we had 0 dengue. Then we had 2, now we have, I think, 4. And the information that we received from the folks in CDC said, expect more. So that's a cause for worry for a lot of us here.
Yep.
Before, we didn't have, 3 weeks ago in August, we didn't have any dengue people. Now, it's increasing. So that's a concern. I'm just a grandparent, but I am a resident of Toto, and of course, the schools are affected. So that's a concern. Thank you.
So let me just add just a brief note about the school side of this, because I know we just announced continued school closing for Agueda Johnson and on Northern Chalampago. So I just wanted to explain that to make sure people are clear on what's happening. So, we did close immediately when we were doing the spraying. Partly that we kept the school closed for that extra day. A lot of that was done. It was an incident in Agueda, but the decision to spray also at Northern Chalampago in our discussion was more of a proactive approach to just do both schools while we had an opportunity and try to assure the community that we were doing what we could to mitigate those efforts and mitigate the spread of the dengue fever. So the day we took was in order for us to complete the spraying, as well as to start to gather the information that was available so we could start to get it out to our families and our employees. And then, over the course of the next week, we've been working together to kind of really lay out the protocols for how we want to address future incidents, should there be other schools that require the same response. So over the weekend, when we learned of an additional case, this time a student at Chalampago, the effort was really to, we know the spraying took place, so we asked that there be, as you mentioned, increased surveillance to take the traps and see what we could find from the mosquitoes that were trapped, for the vendor to go in and see, kind of look and assess the effectiveness of the spraying. But in addition to that, we know from the school administrators, both, and they're both here today, that the additional concern was the ponding basin. Even though the ponding basins are not the immediate concern, I think the concern was any debris, any containers, anything that might be found, any vegetation that might, harbor the smaller pools of water. Just one final comment on that, just because I think we've got a lot of questions from parents, and so for those, and again, we have employees here and parents here who are going to be on alert for what happens when we do resume the opening of the 2 schools. So I just wanted to make sure that there has been communication with our administrators and notification to parents that the uniform, with the support of the board, that the uniform policy in place for our DOE schools are relaxed to reflect the guidance given from public health, which is to allow for long sleeves, long pants, and just in order to jacket and so forth, in order to try to reduce the exposure to a potential mosquito bite. The administrators at the schools are charged with just kind of continuing to monitor the campuses and to continue to address situations where there is standing water, and to work with our facilities and maintenance crew to address those issues as they are observed. I know that some of our administrators are considering ways to keep our students inside as much as possible during the breaks. And then, as you heard earlier, our nurses have been, they're on alert and have been, given the same presentation by Dr. Hancock to be on, to be monitoring for any symptoms that might be present when, for students and employees who express that concern. So at the school level, we'll continue to provide information as we get it, working with the school principals to take those measures that we can to follow the guidance that we're being given here. And then I think over the period of time that we're in this state of monitoring and response, we'll continue to try to address the situation in the close partnership with our fellow agencies.
Senator Therese Terlahi was the only member of the legislature who was present at the government's one and only news conference since dengue crisis began. The island senators and mayors were invited by the governor's office to a Wednesday, September 18, critical briefing on the issue at 1:30 p.m. that day. Following the briefing at 4 p.m. news conference, Mr. Terlahi was there, taking notes of the questions being asked and answers given. The only other elected official present was Governor Lulian Guerrero and Derido Mayor Melissa Savares, both of whom were on the government panel answering questions of reporters. Kandit yesterday turned its attention to senators in light of the spiraling handling of the dengue crisis and growing frustration from residents about poor management of the outbreak. We asked senators whether they are involved in helping with the emergency response, if they've spoken with Ms. Leon Guerrero on what they can do to help, and whether any of them have prepared any bills to appropriate more funding for the crisis response. Kandit learned over the weekend that neither the governor's office nor Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes had prepared any measures in anticipation of emergency funding authorization for the dengue outbreak running out. Mrs. Barnes said she is prepared to call the legislature into session should Ms. Leon Guerrero submit a bill to appropriate money. The governor's office has said nothing. Ms. Barnes, however, did introduce a bill to update the island's price gouging laws in response to a report of mosquito repellent spray cans being sold for more than $12 since the first confirmed dengue case. The group of 15 senators is comprised of people who have the training, ability, and experience to help the governor with this crisis. Vice Speaker Selena Nelson is an officer in the Guam National Guard. Senator James Nelson is an Army veteran. Senator Mary Torres, William Castro, and Telo Taidgui all have extensive experience and training in emergency management from the major roles they played as executive managers in the previous two administrations. Senators Sabina Perez, Regine Biscoli, and Amanda Shelton each have emergency management training and experience honed from their previous roles. Ms. Perez as an Environmental Protection Agency bureaucrat, and Ms. Lee and Ms. Shelton as high-level aides to former Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo. Senator Jose Pito Terlahi is a retired police officer and former mayor of Jotnia, who has extensive experience in first response and emergency management. We also asked senators whether they are confident in the governor's ability to lead this crisis and in public health director Linda DeNorcy's ability to manage it. Ms. DeNorcy has since left the island for a conference in Washington, D.C., and to ask for resources from U.S. Department of Health and Human Services officials while there. Senator Clint Rigel was the first to answer our questions. He said he is not involved with the emergency response and has not spoken with the governor on what he can do to help with the situation. Mr. Rigel has been busy preparing the hearing he had today regarding his bill to end the Guam Power and Waterworks Authority's back billing practices. Quote, I did attend the briefing that the governor held for mayors and senators, Mr. Rigel said. They asked that we help by spreading information. The senator, as well as Senator Regine Biscoli, who also answered our questions, both told Kandit they have not introduced any bills to appropriate money for their emergency response. If there is a need to, I will, Mr. Rigel said. Mr. Rigel also is confident in Ms. Leon Guerrero's ability to lead Guam through this crisis. When World Health Organization officials were here on Guam, they told a few members of the Guam legislature, including myself, that they were impressed with Guam's response. Regarding Public Health Director Linda DeNorcy's management of the crisis, he wrote, "For now, I will give her the benefit of the doubt. Viral outbreaks are difficult to control. Dengue is found in numerous countries in the Pacific and Asian region. It's not just lesser developed countries that struggle with dengue, as even countries like Australia struggle with dengue." Ms. Lee has taken a more proactive role, telling Kandit, "I have directed the legislative operations staff to use our public access channel to share emergency information and guidance published by our government. I have also shared information provided by our government on my social media platforms. I'm also on Guam and available in case the governor requires emergency authority." Ms. Lee said she maintains regular contact with the governor and her office. Mrs. Leon Guerrero knows that the legislature will help air PSAs or other emergency information related to dengue virus. She goes on to say she is confident in the governor's ability to lead because it is the people who chose her to lead the island. "I am confident in the people and the choice they made," Ms. Lee wrote to Kandit. She also expressed full support for Ms. DeNorcy and her acting director while Ms. DeNorcy is off island, Lauren Duenas. Both the director and deputy director of public health have spent decades in this field, focused on delivery of care, public health screening, and emergency response. Meanwhile, Congressman Mike Nicholas prepared and has been circulating information to the public on how to prevent mosquito infection and what to do if symptoms of dengue appear in residents. He was the first government official to prepare and disseminate any such information on Guam. The Speaker's office said they will send answers to our questions tomorrow, as Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes is participating in the informational briefing led by School Superintendent John Fernandez tonight. Senator Teresa Lahi, the legislative chairwoman on health issues, was the only senator to attend the one and only news conference that the senator has been vocal about the need for emergency management officials to properly inform the public of what is going on. Mrs. Leon Guerrero is scheduled to leave Guam this Thursday for a series of trips to the U.S. mainland, including a speech before the Guam Heritage Association of Nevada. She was scheduled to return to the island October 11. The governor's director of policy, Carlo Branch, confirmed to Kandit tonight that she has canceled her trip. Meanwhile, at least one organization on this island is being proactive in the effort to prevent the spread of dengue infection. The Guam Korean Chamber of Commerce posted a 5-minute video on its Facebook page, pediatrician Dr. Michael who explains to the public how dengue infects the body and what to expect. Let's watch what he has to say.
It's important to know that there is no actual cure for dengue virus. We don't have an antiviral that can kill the virus. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael I'm a pediatrician at One Love Pediatrics. I'm also the Vice President of the Guam Korean Chamber of Commerce. I'm sure you've heard a lot about dengue in the news, and I thought it might be helpful to just share some of the teaching points that I tell my patients so that we can have an understanding of what dengue is, what the risks are, and how we can protect ourselves. Dengue is a virus that's transmitted by mosquitoes and affects humans. I want to stress that for the vast majority of people that get infected with dengue for the first time, it's usually not life-threatening, and for most people, you might not even know that you have dengue virus. Symptoms include a high fever of 104 degrees. You can cause some headache, some nausea, some vomiting. Some certain symptoms, though, that are a little bit different for dengue include pain into the bones. You might have pain behind your eyes, and you might get a very particular rash where it looks like some of the spots in the rash are missing the red part. We call that rash a rash with islands of sparing. Dengue becomes very dangerous, the subsequent infections. So there are 4 strains of dengue, and the first time you get bit by a mosquito with dengue, you'll have your reaction, you'll have your fever, your rash possibly, and then you'll develop antibodies. And so with that one strain that you got bitten, you'll be fully protected against that other strain. After you get bit, you will have symptoms for up to a week, and you will be able to spread the virus to other people via mosquitoes for about 4 to 5 days, although that can be as long as 12 days. However, the second time you get bitten by mosquito, if it isn't by the exact same strain and one of the other 3 strains, For mechanisms that scientists are still not completely understanding, it seems to be able to trick the immune system and get more viruses into the body quicker and faster, which means the virus replicates much faster into the body, creating a much more severe reaction as your body's trying to fight off the virus. This is called severe dengue fever or hemorrhagic dengue fever. When this happens, we can have our blood vessels actually become a little bit leaky and we lose fluid in the blood that can cause dangerous drops in blood pressure, which medically we call shock. And we can also lose platelets in our blood, and platelets are responsible for stopping bleeding, and so we can have uncontrolled bleeding. When this happens, if it goes unrecognized or untreated, mortality rates can be as high as 20%. Thankfully, with quick recognition and treatment, mortality rates can be down to about 1%. It's important to know that there is no actual cure for dengue virus. We don't have an antiviral that can kill the virus, which means treatment is largely supportive. If you get severe dengue fever, you will be admitted to the hospital and we'll have to adjust and help with your fluids and your blood pressure. With the mild illness of dengue for the first time, that means that we just treat the symptoms, we'll give pain relievers, fever medicine, and the virus and the fever will just largely go away by itself. In severe cases of dengue, this would require hospitalization, as we will really need to have a close watch on your fluids and blood pressure. Because there's no cure for dengue, prevention is vital in preventing dengue fever. This means we need to have really good watch over any standing water on our property. We need to wear protective clothing when we go out. We think there's going to be mosquitoes. Mosquito spray can be helpful, although for younger babies, I really don't like recommending spray, so really it's important to keep them just covered with clothing. If you're experiencing high fevers, bone pain, muscle aches, pain behind the eyes, but you feel relatively okay, I think it's a good idea to make an appointment with your regular doctor. Ask if...
Sorry, you can find that on the Guam Korean Chamber of Commerce's Facebook page. The video messed up. It's probably because I have the thing plugged in here. It's probably my fault. But hashtag eye candy, first of all. Gina Marie Tenorio Call, you are absolutely right. Anyway, so I suppose what's bittersweet about this, the bitter part is that, well, it really seems like our government doesn't have it together, and that there are organizations throughout this island, like, let's say, the Guam Chamber of Commerce.
Kandit News Group?
No, on the negative side.
Oh, on
the ones who aren't saying anything. The Guam Chamber of Commerce, the Guam Medical Association, where's the Guam Medical Society, where's the GMH medical staff. You know, I understand that they have their role in the medical support of the island or whatever, but it took a doctor, a pediatrician, who is the vice president of the Guam Korean Chamber of Commerce, to produce a video to provide some insight to residents about what dengue can do. And you know, so last night we played one from a doctor from the Philippines because it was the only thing we had. We didn't know that there was this video from this doctor who is from Guam, and we're very thankful to the Guam Korean Chamber of Commerce. What's bittersweet about it is it makes us wonder, where's everyone else? Who else?
But even from the get-go, Troy, we have the emails to prove it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
And, you know, last night when I went home, I usually stay up till like 6 a.m. sometimes, and I do research. And all the other areas that have this dengue outbreak, the first concern, the first thing on their agenda is to let the people know.
That's the first thing on the rules, about our
Right.
own protocols.
And the mere fact that Thursday the school was informed, they allowed the school children to attend school Friday and then start spraying on Saturday, that was wrong. The governor signing that emergency declaration on Friday and it not being sent to the legislature, to the speaker's office until Monday. So a whole 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No one knew about the emergency.
That gave it enough for this disease to spread. So every other place that I searched up the dengue outbreak, whether it's in the Philippines, whether it was in Asia, whether where else did they have it? Where else have I?
They said Hawaii, Australia.
Who said Hawaii? Guam?
The governor and that
Oh no,
informational
I
thing.
didn't find anything in Hawaii. Okay.
What about Australia?
No, they said they had, and then.
Eradicated, is what she
Yeah,
said.
they eradicated.
That's what she's saying. That the dream of eradicating it on Guam
Well,
is
yes, we understand that you're saying yes. Everywhere else it got eradicated, but it was what they did from the jump.
And they didn't do it.
Yeah.
They didn't do it.
And then
They're
this
not
this
doing- and
whole
they're making
thing of the
excuses. They're making
stores,
excuses for themselves.
these stores that are upping the price on the people of Guam in this crisis. You know, maybe you won't get in trouble by the law, but honestly, God's not sleeping. And if you are a store owner and you are doing this to the people who need it, you are just as guilty as the government. So maybe you won't get charged, maybe you can't get in trouble, but God's not sleeping.
Do we have that picture of the line? There was like a like
Yeah,
a line from the Great
it's
Depression.
it's in our WhatsApp.
Oh, I have to jump through hoops to get there. But
There was a line outside local promos, right?
because
That's
they were
the-
giving out patches, right?
Yeah.
For
Mosquito
repellent
patches, yes.
or whatever. And it was like looking at a line from the Great Depression of people lining up to buy milk for $12. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much the patches were. Oh, I think they were giving them out, right?
I'm not sure.
Or there was a promo on it or something.
I'm
But
not sure.
it shows that the shelves have been bought out, and they've been bought out and for many stores, it was highway robbery for the people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it wasn't illegal because our senators, while they're celebrating with fireworks and talking about all kinds of stupid stuff.
And just to be honest, where the governor was going, whether that's the only place she was going or not, it was to the Liberation celebration in Las Vegas, Nevada, and if you notice on the sheet where she's a guest speaker, if you look at the bottom left, there's also two DeNorcy people. So it doesn't take rocket scientists to know where else Linda DeNorcy is going, you know, but that's where she was headed. That's where, you know, so let's just hope us speaking out, you know, I like calling people out. And so
Oh, you
let's
do?
just, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Mr. Labofsky says dengue has never been evaluated at GMH, I bet, until now. Brad Hewitt says it was the weekend, barbecue, weddings, baptisms to attend, way too busy to worry about informing the public. Gina Call says they should just close the schools, all schools, for 2 weeks to let the dengue virus run its course and die out so it is not anything that mosquitoes can be infected with. That is the best solution, along with all the safety precautions and spraying down of the schools before students come back. That requires common sense, Gina, and unfortunately, our government is running a deficit of it.
Major.
Brad says, guarantee there won't be any riots. Marvin Francisco, oh shoot, I do need to turn on WhatsApp because I need to get the images. Or, Shallow, were you able to download those images from Mrs. Gutierrez of Teton High School?
Yes.
You were? Okay. Can we play that for people right now? I want them to see that the students at Teton High School were also being model citizens, good leaders. And I guess they wanted to show.
And these are students who are standing up to the riot that happened last week.
Mm-hmm.
So these are students they're tired of it and they want to spread peace.
Spread happiness. That's what that yellow poster says right there. That looks like a GW banner, that purple and gold. What else does it say? What does that white one say? Aspire to do
Great things.
And there's a peace sign. Good job, Teton High School. Good job.
And if the kids the kids can speak out, you know, I think that's a great idea to spread peace and love and We do that sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
This is my favorite comment of the night. Marvin Francisco asks, does the Korean doctor accept Aetna insurance? I bet you just sent him lots of customers. All the gay GovGuam employees are going to be signing up with that doctor and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a pediatrician. We're like, well, you can be my daddy. Anyway, let's move. Oh, I'm sorry, there's more. John and Doreen Pangilinan said they were pre-selling them and ran out. Janet Sardoma says 6-pack of patches were $1.50. Our auntie from Another Panty says, it takes this Korean doctor who provided good information than what little Lulu had to say tonight. She's telling us what we already know thanks to Kandit. Oh, thank you, auntie. Kelly Lazan. Oh, go ahead.
What about, you sent me a 3-page back and forth from Shelton and, are we reading that? No.
We'll cover it tomorrow.
Okay.
Unless we want to bash Chris Barnett. I just wasn't ready.
That guy.
Oh, I'm completely ready to bash Chris Barnett. But it's just that we have so much tonight.
Okay, I just was going over what we should be going over.
I forgot about it. Gina says, a cute Korean doctor. Marvin says, great job, students, regarding the teens and high school kids. Amy Jackson is asking, did GW send their electric slide video? No.
Oh, Amy Jackson has a cute, I forgot to put it up, Troy.
Oh, and do we have Tossie's flyer?
It's on your, you have to just go to the Facebook.
It's on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh,
What are you looking for, your phone?
Yeah.
It's right here. Here you go, Cello.
Thanks. Thanks. Brad Hewitt says, it's a shame that kids at Teton have to go to this extent. They are applauding normal social behavior. That's how far culture has slipped. That's a very good point. So our next story is our top story for the night. And we were, up until the time that we were starting the show, Johnny was still researching some stuff. And so that's why it's not written. After the show, I'm going to write it up. But it goes like this. I couldn't stop thinking about this Benita Manglotnia thing. And then this morning we got a source of information, or a little tip, suggesting that why don't we look at Lillian Perez Posadas, because she was a board member of the previous GMH board. And then all these little light bulbs lit up in my head about everything that I remembered was happening over the last couple of years. And it's true. Lillian Perez Posadas, the administrator of Guam Memorial Hospital now since January of this year, who was the person who gave Benita Manglotnia her walking papers for, and basically Benita was made to be the sacrificial lamb in this issue of $8.7 million in withholding taxes never remitted to the Department of Revenue and Taxation, basically payroll taxes from GMH employees who every paycheck, a portion was withheld by the government of Guam, and then that was supposed to go to revenue tax. That money instead was kept by Guam Memorial Hospital for the operation of the hospital. It didn't go into anyone's pocket. It just went into the hospital for its operations. Now, while that doesn't make it any less illegal, it does provide the people of Guam with some perspective that the illegal act wasn't a result of corruption that came to the benefit of any single person, but it went to the benefit of the operations of the Guam Memorial Hospital. Now, this happened over the period of 5 years. And in that 5-year period, we've told you before that it's not like Benita Manglotnia wanted to do this or did this of her own volition. This was something that she was ordered to do by Governor Eddie Calvo, the former Governor Eddie Calvo, and former Chief Fiscal Officer Bernie Artero, who was, for all intents and purposes, the person really running Guam Memorial Hospital for years. Now, the administrator at the time was Peter John Camacho. The CFO, Chief Financial Officer for Guam Memorial Hospital, has been Benita Manglotnia for the past several years. And Benita, yes, it was her ministerial duty to be the person to withhold the payroll taxes, but the irony in this entire situation is something that, you know what, this isn't even like a news thing. This is basically a reminder of the past couple of years and what has happened. You see, Lillian Perez Posadas was a board member of the GMH Board of Trustees during the entire time.
Vice Chair.
And she was vice chair? She was vice chairman of the GMH Board of Trustees during the entire time that these taxes, these withholding taxes, these payroll taxes were not being remitted. As a matter of fact, Johnny was able to find board minutes where Ms. Perez-Posadas was present, and not only present, but participating in these meetings where Benita Magnolia specifically talks about this issue of taxes that need to be paid. Do you want to? And I'm gonna cast in a couple minutes. Chelo will be able to cast onto the screen, but go to Johnny's shot or the white shot or whatever, so Johnny can start talking about this.
On August 30, I went over the Guam legislatures. I remember this issue with the government, with GMH and the legislature last year, and this is when I first started to get into understanding how the government works. And you guys made me watch you and I remember Dennis, everybody was watching because he was the oversight chair.
Oh, at
Dennis Rodriguez, yes.
House, yeah.
And no, I was at my house, first time ever screaming at my TV. And I think someone took a video of me, like I was half off the chair. And so it's June, I believe it was June 20th, oversight hearing. And then there's another one, I believe June 18 or June 17, 2018, when they're talking about their finances and what they need for their budget for the following year. Lillian Posadas didn't speak there, but also the people that need to be held accountable for this is also the legislature. Because Benita, she did let them know what was going on.
Yeah. No, but not only with the payroll taxes, but what else were we able to find? The other issues that she the electrical panel,
everything,
the IT system,
all of it. If you go to GMH, if you go to gmha.org, you can go. It's all there except 2017 and prior. It's showing error every time I try to open anything. 2017 and prior is showing error, not found. But it's listed there, but when you click on it, it's not showing anything. So I was able to bring up, here's one of them, Thursday, August 30, 6 p.m., Daniel L. Webb Conference Room. People there.
Can you send this to me so I can?
Yes.
So people can see it?
Okay, let me try because my computer's kind of weird.
It's okay, never mind, it's okay. We'll put it on the story.
Okay. On August 30, 2018, this is before the Luliangro administration, okay? Eloy Lezama was chairperson and treasurer. Okay. Lillian Perez-Posadas was the vice chairperson. And then there was a secretary, Melissa Weibel, trustee Ricardo M. Terlahi, Sonia, and Sharon Davis. Hospital administrator, Peter John Camacho, chief financial officer, Benita. These are all the people that were present. Vincent Duenas, and James Last, medical staff president. And when you go down to what they spoke about, Benita's portion talks about all their finances and what they need and how they need it. So if you open this, you could see it. And then the next couple of months, they talk about the finances. She always has a list of whatever is needed, right? She has to go through that. And then it stops in January of 2019 and GMH doesn't open another Board of Trustees meeting until May.
Because they probably didn't have a full board.
And that's when it changes.
What changes about it?
They no longer have the chief financial officer report. It falls under what date is this? It falls under, wait, let me open this. What date is this? Here we go. It falls under finance and audit. Trustee Evaristo, and then when you go further down, it says, on behalf of the management team, Ms. Perez-Posadas reported the following.
And she's the one who provides the financial report.
Yes.
So she takes it upon herself.
Yes.
Yes, she fires Benita Magnolia for
yes.
this. So first, she takes upon the reporting of this issue, which she fails to report in her reports, right? But also, even before that, for at least 5 years prior, vice chairman of the Board of Trustees, during the time of this, she was receiving the reports from Benita Magnolia in every single public meeting regarding the need to pay the payroll taxes and the need to ask the legislature for more money. And as a matter of fact, in 2017, Guam Memorial Hospital's administration, Peter John Camacho, Benita Magnolia, who was the CFO, the medical director, who changed from Dr. Lizama to Dr. Duenas, Dr. Lass, Dr. What's her name, Kozui Shimabokuru, who was the assistant associate director of medical services. All these people went before the legislature, and they they begged senators to provide the funding necessary. So all of this, now, this is how, because it's not just Lillian Perez Posadas, and it ain't just the legislature that's culpable here. I mean, the wrong person was fired. Like, if you want to hold people accountable for this payroll taxes issue, you have to hold senators accountable. You have to hold Lillian Perez Posadas accountable, Eloy Lizama, the people on the board at the time, the people on the board now, and even Governor Lilian Guerrero, and I'll explain how she's roped into this. From December 2017 going into February of 2018, the governor's office came to Senator Dennis Rodriguez, who was the Health Committee chairman at the time, because they needed his support on a measure to increase taxes. This is the advent of the current increase to the BPT.
I remember.
The proposal was to raise it from 4% to 6%. At the end of the day, as Joe Mann, the Whale Brown says, it was settled at 5%. But in the beginning stages of this, the bill from the governor's office was to increase it to 6%. Now, Senator Dennis Rodriguez, so at the time, Peter John Camacho, Benita Magnolia, Dr. Lizama, they were all meeting with the senator on, can you support this? And the senator didn't want to support a BPT increase, so he came back to them and he said, hey, I've got an idea. Instead of a BPT increase, why don't we remove the exemptions that are given as like Christmas gifts to the banks,
$70 million.
Companies? Exactly.
Is that the amount?
That was the amount.
I remember.
The wholesale companies.
$70 million Guam gives, the government gives tax breaks of $70 million to these big corporations.
And just remember, banks. And so the 70 million wasn't an exact figure, but because there was no way of determining how much in taxes banks were escaping on, because they only pay the BPT on their net. And so I remember this so clearly. The senator came out with several bills to, instead of this whole 6% thing, and Governor Eddie Calvo said, you know what, Dennis, I'll support it. As long as you were the only person who's coming out with a solution.
Right.
Because everyone else is saying no to the 6%. Oh, and then everybody says, oh, okay, we're good with 5%. We'll just stick it up the people's ass halfway.
Yeah,
you know?
to the middle class.
Yeah, to the middle class and to the poor. But Senator Dennis Rodriguez was the only person who actually, that's why our conversation tonight was such a coincidence, because it was while I was at the gym, I remembered this entire thing. It's good to be sober. And so,
and it's good to be on the same page.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, he was like, okay, I'm going to introduce these bills. No sooner did he introduce those bills than he got the pushback from the corporate cronies, the corrupt. So I remember the Guam Bankers Association, or basically the bankers of Guam, wanted to have a meeting with the senator, and he wanted me to be in this meeting. I wasn't high for that meeting. And I was thinking in my head, no, I wasn't high. And I remember this very clearly. Ed Antalon from First Hawaiian Bank, he started to argue about, this will mean, he said, if you do this, if we have to pay taxes, then we will no longer be competitive with credit unions. And we were like, yeah, but credit unions don't earn profits. Banks do. And so he said, yeah, but if we have to pay taxes and they don't, then it'll be hard for us to compete. And I said, that is not the government of Guam's problem. That sounds like a problem that needs to be figured out among the private sector as capitalism goes. And he said, you know, they don't, we're going to have to pay in marketing. And I said, well, you don't pay taxes on marketing right now, so why don't you guys just duke it out? I couldn't believe what these banks were saying.
So how does Lulian Guerrero tie into this?
Her people were around that table, and she sent a letter to Senator Dennis Rodriguez opposing the removal of the exemptions on the banks.
Of course she would.
And it wasn't the first time. And no, this entanglement of Governor Lulian Guerrero
and the hospital
goes even deeper. It's something that I remember from the beginning of the Calvo administration. And this is how, this is going to make you think, how in the hell does this lady have the audacity to fire Benita Magnolia? So that funding,
she was part of the board.
That funding, it gets even better.
Shit.
So that funding that that Senator Dennis Rodriguez, it was a trade-off. So instead of the 50% increase in the BPT, remove the exemptions on the banks, on the insurance companies. Even Governor Eddie Calvo, whose family owns an insurance company, was in favor of removing the exemptions on the insurance companies because he wanted to save GMH. That's how important it was to him. And Benita Magnolia and Peter John Camacho, they were all on board with this, right? Then politics happened.
Of course.
The next meeting that we had was with representatives from the governor's office, and they included Mike Perez, who was the assistant legal counsel, even though he doesn't even have a license because it was removed from him. He was disbarred. He is the current chairman of the Guam Election Commission.
Yeah, disbarred, meaning, what was his charge?
It had to do with his not being able to represent his client, but it had to do with drugs, his drug use.
Wait, who's that guy? What's his name? Michael Perez?
Michael Perez.
And right now he is in charge of
The
Guam Election Commission.
Yes, yes. Honest guy. And then, and then John Moffness, the Incredible, from The Incredibles.
Okay.
And Joe Duenas, the Lieutenant Governor's Chief of Staff. Now, what in the hell are Ray Tenorio's chief political people doing at a 2018 meeting with Senator Dennis Rodriguez regarding this issue of increasing taxes in order to pay for Guam Memorial Hospital projects and payroll taxes and all that stuff that Benita Magnolia is being blamed for now? It's very simple. Governor Eddie Calvo had one foot out the door, and he was like, we're going to give all the credit to Ray Tenorio. So at this meeting, after Governor Eddie Calvo had told Senator Dennis Rodriguez that he supports his plans because at least it is an option on the table for the senators to consider, Joe Duenas tells Senator Rodriguez that if the banking and insurance exemptions removal are still on the table, then because of the Republican Party's stances on them, on the blah, 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 they're not going to support it. And so the governor's office removed its support. I called Governor Eddie Calvo, and I told him about it. I told him that Joe Duenas was saying something very different from what he told Senator Dennis Rodriguez, and he said that he would get back to the senator about it. I don't think that ever happened. It was politics that was afoot, and crazy. But when you think about, everyone needs to think about this. Benita Magnolia has saved the government of Guam a considerable amount of money and has brought a significant amount of money to the government of Guam. And I'll just name one thing that she's done, because she's done a lot. But the one thing that she did was the one thing that Governor Carl Gutierrez in the debates last year said was impossible. Governor Eddie Calvo thought would never get done. Governor Lulian Guerrero herself thought was impossible as candidate Lulian Guerrero, and that was TEFRA rebasing. Basically, it was the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services going back to 1997, when the last time that our rates for the billing of Medicaid and Medicare services is based on, and adjusting everything forward. It was considered to be an impossible feat. And Benita, in March of this year, got it done because she was just that persistent. And what did this governor do? She fucking took credit for it.
Of course.
She didn't even give Benita Magnolia any credit for that. The TEFRA rebasing is the single most important fiscal achievement of Guam Memorial Hospital since 1997. Consider that, and they fired this woman. because she's a sacrificial lamb for a mistake, for an error, for a criminal act that so many different people are involved in. Now, let me tell you something else. Back in 2011, then chairwoman of the GMH Board of Trustees, Lou Leon Guerrero, this was February of 2011, was fired from the GMH board by incoming governor Eddie Calvo. You want to know why?
Why?
On top of issues of patient safety and the withholding of information that was supposed to have been reported to the Malpractice Bureau or whatever it's called in the U.S., the other public reason given for the firing of Ms. Leon Guerrero as the chairman of the Board of Trustees was the withholding of payroll taxes to the Department of Revenue and Taxation to the tune of $11 million.
Shut up.
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. And now this governor has the audacity. Oh, and she complained about it too. She said, you know what she said? It's the fiscal situation. We cannot help it. What do you think this is? But you know how you can help it, Governor? You call up all those fucking dingleberries over at the legislature who you call your allies, and you tell them to appropriate the money they damn well know that they need to appropriate to Guam Memorial Hospital to pay those payroll taxes. And then, in order to, when they ask, how are we going to pay for that, Governor? You give away your banking exemptions that enrich your family. That's what you do. I'm very proud of myself.
Wow.
Right now.
Yes.
I'm very proud
I'm
of you right
amazed. I'm amazed.
I remembered all that.
Wow. Looks like the governor was fired for not paying payroll taxes.
Not paying payroll taxes.
Of 11, not 8.7 million.
I'm so sorry. It's $21 million.
Shut up.
$21 million. Yes, it was. I remember it was a big damn deal because it was a lot. $21 million in payroll taxes, unremitted. To Revenue Tax.
Why don't you tell
and to
Chris
retirement
Barnett
fund.
to put that in
Oh,
his pipe
that
and smoke
fucking
it?
Druggy, fuck him. Anyways, everybody.
Make sure you don't get beaten by the dengue. And my kids didn't go to school today, and they ain't going to school tomorrow.
John never did. Oh shoot, we didn't ask the questions. We're still waiting for answers from John Fernandez on whether truancy is going to be an issue for parents who have been deciding not to send their kids to school because they don't trust the government whatsoever. I think that just goes for a lot of people. A lot of people don't trust the government whatsoever. We'll try to get you an answer on that tomorrow. We do know, and our condolences to Mr. Fernandez. His aunt passed away, I believe, this morning, and so he's been a little, distracted, but he's still at work. We'll try to get more of an answer from him. We want to thank Mark Bendiola and Maria Gutierrez for helping to provide information to Kandit News regarding what's going on in our school system. And Benita, girlfriend, I know we've talked shit about each other, but that's in the past, girl. That's in the past. I love you, girlfriend, okay? But what was done to Benita was wrong, just straight up wrong. And there are some hypocrites in this whole equation.
But for Lillian Posadas to not stand up to that and say, wait a minute, fire Benita or tell her to resign, I wouldn't go for it. Even if I knew the whole story, and the governor knew the whole story because she's been put in that situation, for her to cop out. If you told me to fire Eric and I knew Eric didn't fuck up, I would tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
And I would hope I was going to say if Eric's going to fire me, but if you told Eric to fire me, but Eric can't fire me.
Friend, I would quit.
He would resign.
I would resign.
But then we'll hire Benita Magnolia to do all the firing. How about that? Just so she can, get some even Steven. But what was done to her was wrong. Straight up. And the governor knows it because she's so wrong in this whole thing. Lillian Paris.
$21 million?
Lillian Paris. Oh, it was brought to court too. I forgot. There was a class action lawsuit as a result of it. Anyway, Lillian Paris Posadas knows what's up. We asked her these questions earlier today. I keep spitting potato chips out of my mouth. We sent her emails today about the condition of the dengue patients and about her culpability in this whole $8.7 million thing. She has not returned our emails.
Of course not.
We need to ask senators. We need to ask senators what they're going to do because the solution is quite simple. GMH needs money.
Mm-hmm.
GMH needs money. And what are senators going to do? Senator Therese Sherlahi tried to convince senators of this.
But what's his name? Byrne did a flip a switch and tried the way he was answering. Yeah, it was fucked up.
Oh, he was trying to confuse.
Yes.
He very much did.
He did confuse
the
them,
senators.
and
Yeah.
so they are not. What did there's one of our peoples sent us a. Can you open it? The Dengue legislature.
Where's that at?
It is in our bullies chat. It says Dengue on it.
It's this one.
No, it's the one before that. That's the one I sent her. You didn't download it?
Oh, I guess not. But
Wait,
let's show them this one. Can we have some ice cream? Everybody, please get your car washed this coming Sunday at Circle K in Sinahanya. We will be washing cars. Well, I will be there for a little bit, but I need to go whatever time Trench starts or whatever time Trench ends. Anyway, when Trench is not happening is when I will be able to be washing cars with Tassi and her mom and their family over at Circle K Sinahanya this coming Sunday between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. I wonder if there's still going to be Trench, though, because there's Dengue in Jigo and Trench is over at Jigo.
Okay, well, if there isn't, then you can be there. But I told Troy he doesn't have to stay long because that's why we have kids. And my kids are his kids. So they'll be helping wash cars, and I'll be there supporting Vanessa and her daughter.
Yeah, this is for a great cause. This is the center to a volleyball championship tournament in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
She's a GW student, very good volleyball player. I've seen her slam that ball on the live streams that Vanessa's done.
Yes.
On the game.
And we are pre-selling tickets, so if you would like some tickets, please just contact either Troy and I, or come down to the office and come get some.
$5.
$5 a ticket, and you don't have to donate just $5 if you're able. I know it's hard times. If you're able to donate more, that'll be great too.
It costs more for a can of off spray than it would for a car wash. It's a whole car wash, you know. But where's the Dengue one?
I'm gonna send it to you. Hold on. You have it?
Oh, my screen was showing. It's okay.
Hold on. I want to get that. No. Oh yeah, I did send it there.
It's in the Dengue chat?
Yeah, I sent it there earlier, but we have a lot of stuff we were going through. There, found it. Let me send it to you now. To Governor.
Are you airdropping?
No, I'm sending it on your WhatsApp.
Here.
Oh, I have it. It's right here. Go ahead and cast to my screen.
Although dengue fever may seem new to Guam, dengue fever has been prevalent in Guam's legislature this term. Dengue, weakling, feeble, frail, and a coward.
I can't believe you called him Senator Pedo Terline.
Sorry, Senator. It's just the way it's spelled.
That guy is funny.
Yes.
Super
Thank you for
funny.
joining us tonight.
Good night, Guam. We love
Good night.
you.